welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello everyone, welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Broiler Chicken Show, our weekend offering here at TRI. I'm not quite sure why, but it seems we've had a bit of a brain fart here working with Google over the past week or so, and our accounts are all messed up. So as a result, we started the video late here because they're throwing a curveball I was not expecting whatsoever here. And unfortunately, it meant things like couldn't get the newsletter produced and put together. So we actually ran into this about early last week, and it just seems like one by one by one. I don't know if it's Google or if it's us, but something really screwy is going on here. So as a result, probably not going to be the best showing of me. Somebody goes there. Finally! Jesus Christ, I've been waiting hours for this thing I pay for so much. Oh, wait a minute. How much do you pay for this? So it is what it is. I have a funny feeling though that this actually might be the sort of catalyst that actually stops us doing these live broadcasts. Because I can clearly see this is going to be very difficult for me to sort of keep a straight head on through this broadcast. So I'll try my best. As you can see, and as Mr. PM just noted there, we started terribly late. I like to be right on time. I don't like surprises in life. And so as a result, I'm kind of frazzled right now. As I said, this might even be sort of the straw that breaks the camel's back on these live broadcasts, because this is not it's not good practice going forward. And also too, I mean, you know, the number of people that actually view this live, I don't know whether this is really in our best interest to keep heading down this road. Now Google's throwing curveballs at us. So we are going to try and put together sort of an ad-libbed newsletter for those people that have subscribed to that service. I don't know if we're going to be able to have it on the mailing list right away. We have, at least, you know, I have, and I know Chris has, asked the TRI support team to see if we can fix this issue with Google sooner rather than later. Hopefully, maybe by next weekend, we'll have this thing back up and running. But a little bit of a curveball here. I mean, I suppose the irony of all of this is my message today was not going to be the most enthusiastically bullish message that you could get when it comes to crypto and investing. So it's not really like there's a hell of a lot to get excited about. I'm going to eat my banana here while I'm talking to you, because what the hell, I might as well have fun while we're doing this. I really haven't even had any breakfast, let alone lunch. So I did ask Chris to ask AI to put together a summary of what happened here over the past week. Although it might be tough for Brian to swallow when I read this out loud to you, because I don't necessarily agree with these AI things. And actually, I do think, just sort of a side commentary, these AI things, like you can see them on YouTube and stuff like that. I mean, it is so obvious when they have just scripted AI to write these scripts, because the wordage is so vague, and they sort of just talk around in circles, or the computers, whatever. Whole bunch of mumbo jumbo that you're like, did somebody actually say that? So anyway, what I normally do, of course, is talk a little bit about the sort of econs over the past week. Then talk a little bit about the politics of the world, try and refrain from too much politics. Then get into sort of any sort of bigger market trends that we saw, things like the breadth indicator, dashboard signals, that kind of stuff. Then talk a little crypto, Bitcoin, maybe in some altcoins that look interesting, some stocks. And then try and help the level oneers if they happen to have any questions over the past week. But our Q&A document, it's inaccessible right now. So poor old level one students, I'm sure there's a few of them that went on there. Thank you very much, Google. Probably went on there and said, okay, I want to type in this question, and well, I can't do anything. So yeah, when it rains, it pours, eh? Anyway, so I'll try and do my best here today. We'll see how it goes. Only time will tell. On the political front, I did put a tweet out just a few minutes ago. This guy's not doing himself any favors, really showing his age. This is the worst part about politics in this modern age is it's not really like Trump is that much better. I mean, he's just as old. He's probably going to make the same sort of senile kind of commentary if he's in office. I think there was one speech that Trump did recently that, well, maybe a couple of years ago, maybe. But anyway, he couldn't read the teleprompter correctly, so it sounded like blah, 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 and it's like, what the hell did he just say? And of course, the left picked up on that. So, ironically enough, it's not really like one is so much better than the other. But I tell you, not resonating very well with the public. And I think he went on this news agency, tried to sort of say, hey, man, give me a break. I don't think that went over well either as well. And I think, the real problem here, and it's really simple. I don't know whether it's a good idea to shop at places like Trader Joe's. And there were lots of commentary when the person posted this comment, this social media tweet, but still $444 for like a week or two's groceries. And the sad thing is California is just getting worse and worse and worse, which is fascinating. The land of milk and honey, how things have completely turned. I don't know what the end story of this is, but this can't end well. So, half of this guy's problem here is that, we're facing this insane hyperinflationary environment. And because they cook the numbers so well in these government agencies, they won't ever bill it as hyperinflation. But $444 grocery bill? Okay. This is nuts. The Econs actually coming out lately. They're a mixed bag. I mean, the Fed really wanted to try and slow things down. And actually, maybe Chris has already put something together so we don't have to jump all over the place here. All right, look at that. We'll say Chris is moving lightning fast. Unfortunately, I'm getting old, so it's sort of like I just, if a problem happens, I don't like surprises. And if a problem happens, then I get all flustered. Thank heavens we've got Chris on the team here to try and keep the Beamish on the straight and narrow. I don't even know whether I even want to read the AI because it's just going to trigger me to get more upset. So I don't know. I will say Econs this past week, the major headlines. Wall Street scorching rally sets more records as hopes rise for rate cuts, which is kind of ironic. I'm not quite sure why these media people don't get the message. A rising stock market is inflationary. So if you have stocks at new highs, how on earth does the powers that be who are trying to control inflation, how do they justify lowering interest rates? Doesn't make any sense to me at all. So something's disconnected here. Interesting too. They always say if you want to take the market down, first you take it up. So I wonder with the way the stock market's acting, whether they're setting us up for some sort of disaster. Something doesn't smell right about all this. I would also say too, your beloved Bitcoin, I do believe is an excellent leading indicator for the economy, and I think Bitcoin itself is flashing some major warning signs here. And the problem, of course, is that most people in the market they don't like to hear a negative message. I mean, it's really easy to come out in social media when a big fat weekly W is confirming and I just sit here and bark to the audience, hey, look at that weekly W, it's time for us to get bullish. Woo! I mean, those are the fun days. And the irony of it all is that by the time that actually happens, none of the people that are participating in the public, they're not even paying attention at all. So the fact that we just had a big fat M just come in here. Now, this is always interesting. Through the weekend, we have kind of a funny market state where it's like Monday to Friday, Bitcoin and the crypto market is heavily controlled by Wall Street. And it appears that Wall Street is feeling a bit bearish of the coin. There's that big, ugly weekly price chart. And then it's like almost literally the moment Wall Street finishes on Friday, then the kids come back, and the kids don't really hate Bitcoin. They love Bitcoin. And so the market just tries to work its way back up and recapture technical levels and all that kind of fun stuff. So, what a big surprise. There's Thursday, there's Friday. We have options expiring stuff on Fridays. So that all finishes. We had a big sort of capitulation there on the Germans, German government giving up on Bitcoin. I never knew they were in Bitcoin to begin with. But anyway, interesting how some sort of Bitcoin enthusiasts and Bitcoin sort of OGs actually come in and said, look I'll just buy all the Bitcoins you want to sell, German government, quit dumping on the market. I might argue sadly that the timing of the sale of this asset by the Germans, I think, is not coincidental. And I might argue that there's probably bigger, uglier forces at work here. This is a 30-minute chart. It was just interesting to see how coming out of that sort of panic dump, I had even put messages in the TRI lounge that sure smelled like a capitulation bottom to me. It was nice to see the market rebounded smartly. Great sales pitch for things like chaos theory. So what a big surprise. We rallied up into 2.618s and stalled out. And then we had to ask ourselves, are we done? They were able to recapture this breakout level. So what a surprise. Boom. We just rallied right into 4669s and we went nimmed up. Uh-oh. Boo. Hiss, hiss, boo. The one interesting thing maybe you can learn from this is notice that when we did get into 2.618s, notice how there was pretty big volatility here all around that level, but we never did M out. We never did go through those lows. So really, you could argue this whole sort of consolidation, there was no real sort of technical breakdown here. But notice that when we did rally up into here, bang, 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 instant M, and down we go. So, there is your technical breakdown right there. Again, this is off a 30-minute chart, so I don't know whether it's really that relevant. More like the day traders, but it is interesting to see that if we can somehow sort of consolidate, we don't break through this 2.618, and interesting how we do have a trend line right along that level, and we can somehow W out and start to ratchet back to the upside. You can see little bull divs trying to form. Willie is technically stupid. We don't really have that much of a bottom in RSI, but she's trying. Buyers are trying to come back here. Nothing like overly compelling. If anything, I suppose the good thing is, and we should always watch volume. Volume leads everything. Notice how the sellers were uber active here. This was, I think, the Germans, and then the big dump. The reaction, interestingly enough, we should probably keep an eye on these actual volume nodes. That number there is, what does that say? No, I can't even remember how to read this. Where is the number? All right, well, looks like it's right there. 281, and then this number here, 282. Oh, interesting. So slightly higher. Would have liked to have seen that a little bit lower, but nonetheless. All three, as soon as the weekend started, notice there's Friday. So there's the end of business on Friday. And then literally, this is the public, you and I. It's not really that much interest. And I've sort of been saying this all along. I mean, who in the public is really going to go and buy Bitcoin here at, like, even if it's $50,000, who the heck is going to be jumping here in at 50 some odd grand for a Bitcoin? That seems a bit much. I suppose for the bulls, and I see somebody over there on YouTube says, Brian, you called the July 4th dump. Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not going to toot my own horn. I think it's super, super important. Anybody watching this video, please write this down. We are not in the business of predicting the future. Really, what we need to do is we need to identify the criteria that if we've seen something happen in the past and we know statistically the odds of that happening again are fairly high, then we go with that. And unfortunately, folks, I mean, and you can set your watch to this around big fundamental events. Usually you have the market rally into fundamental events by the rumor. Then, unfortunately, on the other side of that fundamental events, and this is what I've been asking the community even, and I think to a certain degree, we maybe have a little bit too much hopium floating around this space right now. But I even asked the community, what's the fundamental driver that, oh my goodness, I have to buy Bitcoin because this fundamental event is coming down the road? I don't know of any. You can't argue ETFs, that's old news. You can't argue happening, that's old news. I honestly don't know what the fundamental justification for sort of pounding the Bitcoin table is going forward here in the near term. So on an intra-bar basis, right? These are weekly price charts too, folks, right? That big technical damage done when the market moved through that low. So that damage has been done. The question now is, do we actually start printing those clothesline M's? And the clothesline M's, they're the scary ones because the institutional players, they really respect those clothesline numbers. Let's see, where the heck would I have that? I don't know where the Twitter feed is in all of this. But that's what I got here. I was even sending messages out a week or two ago, right? Sometimes you need to go back to basics and just see the forest through the trees. If this thing goes and M's out, and the message hasn't changed here. Last week, we sort of flirted with trouble. And then through the weekend, they desperately rallied it back. Remember, there was some guy there last week. In fact, I even put the tweet out, he's like buying like 50 Bitcoins, like or 500 Bitcoins, like every hour or something, trying desperately to hold the price up. I wonder if somebody got word that these Germans were going to sell, and they wanted to try and keep the market as firm as possible for them to actually get that trade off. I don't know. Awfully suspicious. But now, right, now it's not, this is like, not only have we run through the line, I mean, we've puked all over it. So, who knows? I'll go out and try and give my boy a fun afternoon. And while in the car, I have no access to Bitcoin price, so I won't know until I get back tonight. Maybe if we're really lucky, some white knight comes charging out of nowhere. But if we close below this 61,462, then that will officially mean that the market has started to smile at us on the weekly basis, which unfortunately is not a good thing. So, maybe for your files, it might be easier, in the newsletter, I include the hoot and falutin, all the write-ups and all that, blah, blah, blah. Maybe this is a bit confusing. If you want to keep the message as simple as possible, maybe just change your chart to a line chart. And really, this thing's not a bull again until you actually see W's. Notice here, down, up, down, breakout. I'm a bull. Look at me go. And then the original weekly bottom that was put in following FBF's big finagle, down, up, down, breakout. And I think that actually marked our bottom. Then last summer, remember Fink came on CNBC and was like, I want a Bitcoin ETF, right? And the market put in down, breakout, and even down, up, down, breakout, W's within W's, big buy signals. So the fact that the chart looks like this, everybody looking at this image should go, whoa, there's no hurry for me to do anything here. How long does this take to actually stabilize and then put in a W? I mean, is it a window like this or like this? I mean, we can count the weeks. For fun, this might actually be a good exercise. Of course, I don't think anybody's going to really like this, but how long does it take typically for Bitcoin to carve out a full W? I mean, let's assume that Beamish guy is the boss, and indeed, this dump here, this actually represents the bottom. But how long is it going to take to actually carve out a weekly W? Here you can see 9 bars. So, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you're generous and you say 8 bars, but 9 bars for your breakout. So that's 2.5 months or thereabouts. Let's call it 2 months. About this one. This one wasn't too long. But down, well, let's go there. So down, up, down, breakout, 5 bars. Well, that's about a month and a half or so. This one, right? And I have a feeling it's probably going to take this long to clean up. That one took basically, we'll go there and then we'll go from the low, 20 bars. Ugh, yuck. What's that? Like 4 months? So I don't know which one it's going to be. Let's do one more here. So from this low, down, up, down, breakout, that was 8 bars. So you can kind of see, and typically this would be our natural sort of duration. And let's hope that this thing just stops and then we start going through the process of cleaning up. But sort of our fastest window here we had was a W that looks like that. So that's 5 bars right there. Hugs and kisses, wishes and cookies and cream and all that. And actually, I kind of like this one. Let's maybe just go with that. So we'll even be generous, right? And we'll say, there's your bottom, down, up, and there was even a couple W's in there. Well, that was 7 bars. So, what's this bottoming window going to look like? Best case scenario, it's going to, the next buy signal will come in there early August. Worst case scenario, right? We said it's a big bottom that has to look something like this. Maybe we get like a violent counter trend rally here now that takes us right back up into the top of the range. That could easily happen. If anything, I kind of like the idea that we'll hit some sort of capitulation low here. And who knows where the hell that's going to be, but somewhere down in here. And then we actually do a nice little counter trend rally window. That takes us right back up into the top end of the range. And this is actually your summer silly season for altcoins. Well, I wouldn't mind that. But understand that's in the context of a bear. So, something like Peter Fink's ultimate bottom, right? That would be that scenario. And then maybe we put in the tight little bottom here and away we go. Which would be that sort of dead cat bounce back up into the top end of the range, then roll over, test these lows, put in a tight little bottom, and away we go. That's like the absolute best case scenario right there. But anyway, you shake it, we now actually have to get rid of that big happy face. And I don't know how long that's going to take. All right, this has now been confirmed. This is going to take a while to clean up, folks. There's no sugarcoating this. They've done some serious technical damage to this. And, I hate to say it, but, this is our whole education program. There's fear cycles, there's greed cycles, and I get the impression that we're in a greed cycle now, which means you should favor paper assets, not hard assets. And I would argue that Bitcoin as a commodity is quote unquote a hard asset. So I could actually see a period where things like Bitcoin underperform. We'll see. Only time will tell. I just will say, technically speaking, we've done some serious damage here. And I would also say too that just if I was going to teach a school on technical analysis, the one person that all of you must learn and get to know is this gentleman W.D. Gann, who is he's kind of like it would be like studying American history and not knowing who Ben Franklin is, or George Washington, or Thomas Jefferson. I mean, that's how significant Mr. Gann is to the world of technical analysis. And this is his bread and butter. I mean, this is literally his bread and butter. And as a commodities broker, I used to run a very simple service that would keep you basically out of trouble, because it's one thing that drives me crazy about this world. Has anybody seen Gucci sweater wearer guys around these days? I don't even know if Gucci sweater wearer guy's still in the business of teaching people how to invest in Bitcoin. I'd be very curious to see where that guy is nowadays. Yeah, I would imagine. And the scary part is that when it comes to money, this is why I'm very cautious with all of you. I never tell you what to buy or sell. I'll tell you what I'm going to buy or sell. I suppose when we get to it, after all the rhetoric is done, I actually did do some buying in the altcoin space this week. I think there's some fantastic deals, but try to understand that, if anything, number one, let's see, actually we got 40, 50 people here watching. So who can answer this question? Finish this statement. If you can finish this statement, then I'll know that you've been around a while and you know how this game works. Ryan's usually right. Remember, I don't like to lose money in the market. In fact, I absolutely hate to lose money. It makes me sick to my stomach if I ever see that I'm losing money. So Brian's usually right, but what? Usually he's early. Right. So just understand that if I'm coming in here on the buy side, it's because I'm buying what I think is dirt cheap. the tweet that I put out the other day is, I will buy your panic sells. But I'm more than happy. If I think that the asset is value, and I think that the downside is relatively limited, and of course, I always take a risk first approach. So that means by definition, if I'm doing these sort of knife catch bottom buys, stink bids, whatever you want to call them, if I'm doing those kind of trades, then there's no way in hell I'm going to take a huge amount of risk. I mean, that's just dumb. So, this definitely falls into one very specific risk taker category. And it's kind of funny, even in the teacher's TA room today, we were joking about how people, because of one gentleman in particular, and I'm really kind of pissed off that this happened, but this is life, and you just got to go with it. But I teach a very specific type of risk management strategy for new people to the market, so that you don't get yourself in trouble. And then for some stupid reason, I have no idea why. I think it's because honestly, the guy is dumb as fuck. But he literally stole the idea, completely bastardized it, and because he has such a massive social media following, the whole world just sort of attached that strategy and approach to the name of this little old lady risk management approach. And we were joking about it even in this morning's in the team chat rooms. Just that it's stunning how, for some reason, the public just doesn't understand that little old lady is all about risk management, and it's the amount of risk that you're going to take on a trade relative to the size of your portfolio. It has absolutely nothing to do with what are your reasons for buying, what are your reasons for selling, nothing whatsoever. So all the point of the matter here is that I really like the location in quite a few of these altcoins. And I'm more than happy to go in there and do our nanny nibbles, little old lady risk management strategy buys. But unfortunately, it's just been so bastardized by this millennial Gen X generation. I don't know. Anybody who's taken the education program, works with me over the years, you all know specifically how this works. But there are a lot of people that just watch another person on social media, and all of a sudden now they're little old lady experts. And it's like, what are you doing? It's baffling. But anyway, it is what it is. So anyway, I was getting to the point that W.D. Gann here is a great historical reference for us. And if you are a student of the market, you should know who he is, what his contribution to the world is, all that kind of fun stuff. And of course, he's a big fan of this. In fact, he was sort of the originator of this concept called the 50% rule. And I don't see any reason why we won't hit this 50% rule. It looks, I mean, when I look at this price chart, ironically enough, what we're doing right now just seems like it's just totally business as usual. What's super cool, of course, is since the age of the sickness, I've been able to teach myself this concept called chaos theory. And hopefully I've imparted it onto the public, but I can even see now people are bastardizing my approach to chaos theory, and all of a sudden now they're chaos theory experts, and they're using all sorts of different levels to and labeling it chaos theory. And it's sort of like, okay, well, where did you learn that? And of course, they can't tell me. So I will say that my interpretation of chaos theory, interesting how a level that is very close to the 50% rule of this particular clothesline range, well, it's pretty close to where W.D. Gann is sitting. And interestingly enough, if we change this to an intra-bar chart, so boom, can actually adjust 50% levels slightly higher, because that, ironically enough, that low didn't really move a hell of a lot, did it? And you can see if we adjust this Foggenbaum to these levels, oh boy, Now on an intra-bar basis, look where that 2.618 goes all the way down there. And the interesting thing about this is if I change this to the reload zone, oh, hello. So 2.618 off of the entire range just nestles very nicely into that reload zone. So in a weird sort of way, actually using the clotheslines is actually kind of conservative. It's not aggressive at all, in my opinion. And that's half the reason why institutional players like to use the clotheslines, because usually it's not nearly as like, oh God, the sky's falling. It's a little bit more conservative in its price targets. So it is interesting how that 4.669 lines up with the 2.618 off of the entire range. My sneaky suspicion is we got to come back down to this trend line. But as I had said to you before, I would prefer us not to get into the business of predicting the future. All of us should just look at this price chart and just acknowledge there's a big fat M staring us in the face. Just acknowledge it. You don't necessarily have to do anything, but just respect the fact that, and somebody commented on the tweet that I put out this morning with regard to this. English is my second language, so I don't quite understand what it is you're saying. And so I just went back and said, all right, let's keep this nice and simple for you, sir. Was here. Write this down. Take a screenshot of this, right? It says, I am not an English native speaker. Can you translate for me? All right, really simple. M equals bad for the bulls. W equals good for the bulls. And what letter of the alphabet are we seeing here? If anything, this image right here, this is actually exactly what I built the whole school and program to try and teach you all to not only recognize, but to actually do. And I think the write-up of this at this point, I think, is absolutely perfect. Right? Who's kidding who? Let's just call a spade a spade. And if you do fancy yourself a trader, if you do fancy yourself a technician, if you do want to live this life, keep in mind 90 to 95% of the public cannot live this life. Professional traders, they sell into the public's euphoria. And what was really interesting is when I put this tweet out, I even said, right, there's never any guarantees in this game. We are statisticians by trade. This is what I teach in my school program. This is why you don't want to get into the business of predicting the future. Because even as pretty as this setup is, there's still a good 30-40% chance that I'm going to be wrong here. If I'm wrong, you see that I risk this amount of money. If I'm right, then you see I make this amount of money. So if you have the patience and discipline, that if you're proved wrong by the market, you get out and you take that loss. But if you are proved right by the market and you have the patience and discipline just to wait for things like 2-to-1 risk rewards, and this one actually is a little bit more than that. 2-to-1 was right in this area. You could be right only 50% of the time, but are you profitable as a trader over time? Even only being right 50% of the time, yes, you are profitable. And that's the whole point of this game, is we're here to make money from trading. We are not here to look how smart I am. That if you come at this game with an ego, you're going to get your ass handed to you. A la Gucci sweater wearers. How many courses do you think I sold coming in here and being a bear and touting this? Do you think I would add a lot of those Gucci sweater wearer guys pay $5,000 to learn how to trade if I was touting a bear story in Bitcoin and crypto? Not a chance. The only reason why that guy could sell as many courses for that ridiculous price as he could, because he was just feeding the emotional, what do you even call it? When I was down in El Salvador, same sort of thing. I sat there at this Bitcoin meetup, and the guy was a representative of the government. And I asked him, can you please explain to me what actually gives Bitcoin value? Like why the given price for a Bitcoin? And he couldn't answer. So it's like, I don't even know how you describe it. These silly humans just get into this vortex of, well, the price is moving up, so it'll just keep moving up endlessly. And we as technicians, we have to learn that just simply is not the case. And in fact, you can have situations where things are really, really strong, and then you go, holy crap, I've seen this before. The momentum of the market is waning. The counter trend rallies in the market bring us back up against the top end of the range, and the market starts to show signs of weakness, lower highs and lower lows. This is basically what I'm trying to teach you at TRI. The only problem is none of you really want to listen. And then ironically, and keep in mind that most of you that actually religiously watch my offerings here, and it's not that big of an audience. If we had an audience in the like tens of thousands, God, we could really change this world. I mean, it's totally awesome that we have like a core of people that do consistently watch and respect the message. But for some reason, I just can't seem to break into the mainstream. Anyway. So what I thought was really interesting about this is that this is a pretty legit setup. M's and W's alone, I've told you guys, usually just the M's and W's alone work about 60, 70% of the time. If I start sprinkling in M's in reload zones, and after this thing has had just an absolutely monstrous move up, I mean, there's the 200 period moving average all the way down there. The statistical odds of this thing actually working going up, but look at what the public's response was to this. I thought this was interesting. I don't know how we can do this. Maybe it's this here. Nope, that's not it. How did I do that? Maybe I click on that. Nope. I know there's a way to do this. It's over here. Yeah. This was the public's response to this. Is that a complimentary response or is that an insulting response? But that's a very typical, I don't know who this person is. I haven't got a clue. You can see not very many followers. They don't really do a hell of a lot here. But it's a very typical sort of public response. Why? Probably because this person did buy. And the last thing in the world they would wanted to see was the price to go down. And yet the irony of it all is, I mean, you see the end result. This was an absolute textbook trade. I mean, this is literally what I'm trying to teach you all to not only recognize, but see whether you can do yourself. So this was the sort of follow-up that I put out this morning. And I try to do this well with all of you. So you can see there is the trade metric. The day that we put it on, what are people in the public doing? They're laughing at me. There's the day when the trade actually hits the 2-to-1. You can see take half the position off. Now you're sitting on a risk-free trade. I have no idea where this thing goes. And what's really shocking is we can do the same logic that we did on Bitcoin with this. There's very little difference. I think that's this one here. Where could this thing go? Well, you can see there's Mr. WD Gans staring us in the face. So, and keep in mind, this is a year and a half ago. It's not even that long ago. But there's the 50% level. Right down at 24 or 2,500 bucks. Now, what gives an Ethereum value? I mean, theoretically, this thing's a POS, right? Theoretically, this is a piece of shit, right? No, wait a minute. POS stands for something else, doesn't it? There's Brian's stupid humor, and that's why nobody watches these videos. So, I mean, I hate to say it, who can finish off this sentence? What are you supposed to think if you see the market smiling at you? This one's really interesting too. Did we actually go through this low? I think we did. This happens to be on Stamp, which was bought out by, I think, Robinhood or something like that recently, which I think probably makes this thing just as corrupt as any other exchange now. I used to like Stamp because it was kind of, they didn't have too much margin and leverage and stuff. So it was, price action was pretty clean. 28.15.20, and the low here, 28.11. Spaghettios. So, market's speaking to us. As you can see, I even had on here the bot setups. This was an interesting bot because it went way too beyond 66. So I don't know whether I would consider that a legit bot setup, but ironically enough, market likes ABCDs regardless. So I don't see any reason why we can't come down and swim around here. But, given where Mr. Gann is sitting right at the moment, I don't see any reason why we don't go down and tag Mr. Gann. What I would probably ask is, can you see any gaps anywhere along here? And, if we think, level one material, if we think just simple things like let's go with institutional fingerprints, the bar that made the low plus the preceding bar, which I think on balance gives us an idea of like somebody was selling, and then somebody sort of absorbed all this selling and then sure enough turned it back up. So since we know institutions buy down markets and they buy the public's panic sells, that's probably a good sort of mark, a fingerprint, if you will, of institutional activity right there. And yeah, what a surprise. You can actually see there's another one right here. So, and look at, there's another one right here. So you can see clearly off of this level, there is a lot of buying interest. And really, you might even argue that that was that market structure breakout. So resistance, support. I'd say that's probably a pretty important level. And that's down there at 2,100. Can this thing, I mean, keep in mind, like, why is it that Ethereum should be like 4,000 or 5,000 here when a year and a half ago it was trading at under $1,000? Does it really make any difference at the end of the day? And is this nothing more than just, things like, what do you think the odds are that if we did a chaos theory off of this W, that 2.618 is like right up against these highs? And really all this is just math. It's just the universe laughing at us. Is it in your best interest to learn how 2.618s and Foggenbaums and chaos theory work? Well, I don't know. That's up to you. I mean, do you want to be a technician? As I said, this is a thankless life because a good technician needs to take the exact opposite sort of approach to life than the public. Oh, what a surprise. 2.618 basically was the top. And actually, it might be interesting. Let's draw a horizontal line right off that 2.618. And then let's go and see where this actual sell signal came in. I bet you they were pretty damn close. So this is where, you have to ask yourself, why does price stop where it does? Oh, actually, look at that. Came in a little bit lower. Interesting. Look at that tail. So I'm a bull. Came slamming down into that level. And then, oh, no, I'm still a bull. And then, if you're a fan of that ICT guy, this actually taking out this low right here was a major failure in the market. I think he calls that his market structure shift level. So the fact that the market closed out below that low right there, that was a major shift in the sentiment of the market. Do I have any signs of a bottom here yet at all? No. I mean, if anything, and this is what I'm trying to teach people, wicks and tails like to be eaten, and V bottoms by definition like to be tested. So you can see how we came down, rallied back up, had to come right back down to those levels. Rallied up, had to come right back down to those levels. Rallied up, had to come right back down to those levels. Look how we got solid closes down here. And then the market was able to really ramp up. So ironically enough, if you still see these tails, then that in itself actually is suggesting that we probably haven't bottomed, right? Bottoms look like nice clean W's. V bottoms like that. I mean, write this down, take a screenshot of it. V bottoms by definition like to be tested. And I might even argue, there's a lot of people that I was listening to go, all right, cool, we're going to V bottom here and we're going to go straight up. But what'll end up happening here is if this is a V bottom, and actually this would be a good little trivia for you guys and girls and houseplants. What pattern does this actually represent? This whole thing here. And by definition, this is actually telling you that if it does resolve bullishly, it's going to, number one, give you a very specific price objective to the upside. But then once that objective is hit, then what? So here, for example, you can see how we dumped, consolidated, broke out. And I might even argue if you measured it out, this was probably a measured move right there, boom to boom. Hit that high. And then what happened once that measure move was done? Oh boy, kaboom. So do we have to go through the same thing? The message, or the formation that I was asking and hoping to see you guys type out was, that looks like a bullish flag. So you can see if we drill down to a lower time frame, there is the bull flag. And the bull flag, easy way for you to see it. Think of A, B, C, Ds. So boom, 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 boom. I have no idea whether this is going to play out. It's way too early to call like a trade setup off of this. But the point being that what happens when we get to here? Right, because this will be the AB equals CD objective. And once that's done, then what? Because keep in mind, we're still very well within this bearish framework. And interestingly, notice this ABCD, it's literally going to take us back so that if the institutional guys want to get short off of the market structure level, what do you mean by that? Well, there's the big fat M. So that's where you want to be short. Notice that this consolidation and rally is going to do nothing more than take us right up into that level. So Wall Street comes back to work middle of the week, maybe, and all the crypto kids are like, this is the bottom, we're going straight up from here. And these cocksuckers come out and just drive this thing into the ground after completing that basically measured move. So I'm a little bit leery listening to people sort of saying that this is the bottom. I did like the idea. I will concede that I did like the idea that we hit a bit of a capitulation with that German government news about them selling Bitcoins. Because frankly speaking, that has absolutely nothing to do with Bitcoin. And it has absolutely nothing to do with crypto. And keep in mind, too, governments always do the wrong thing. Don't ever, ever look to government to do the right thing. They will always do the exact wrong thing. When I was a broker, I used to always tell people, don't ever make an investment decision based on tax policy. Write this down if you've never heard about it before. It's just so cliche. Tax loss selling, right? So that's tax incentivized behavior in the marketplace is usually you are selling at the absolute worst possible time from market timing perspective. And anybody who plays the junior stock market or really crypto for that matter, as a sort of speculative investment, usually right around the end of the year, beginning of new year, if you have a down market and people are selling and dumping, that represents an absolutely fantastic buying window. So I might also argue too that things like the Australians, their tax loss selling season is the end of June. Oh, this is sounding a little coincidental. So same sort of thing. Anybody who's actually selling these assets into here, I don't think that that's a good decision. It's just the problem is I can't buy an asset that looks like this here. I just have to leave it alone. The irony of it all is that can't buy this asset. In fact, you can see actually the little trade metric thing disappeared. But anyway, the point here off of this trade thing, you can see here, the short is working. So really, the only reason I would take this short off is either A, the market rallies back to scratch and we get stopped out at scratch, which I think is highly unlikely. Or B, we actually go and put in a nice well-defined W, and we look down at our indicators and we see that the indicators are actually in divergence as we're making the bottom. And of course, this comes in at or below, trade location levels. Having said that, I don't think that this comes in here. I might argue though that if we change this range and did like reload zones off of this, I don't mind the idea of us hunting longs like for trade location wise down in this reload zone. Notice 50% of the entire range is Mountain Man of this particular range. That original breakout, and you can see this was a hell of a structural breakout level. That's actually a nice cup and handle. Take a screenshot of this. This is the kind of stuff that you want to see to be bullish, where we have a nice long correction, makes a saucer bottom, then we put in a cute little handle, and hopefully you can see the teacup. There's the teacup, there's the teacup's handle, and we break out. Like that is just an absolutely beautiful scenario. And then notice, don't chase, just work your order at the breakout level. Don't chase, just work your order at the breakout level. Don't chase, just work your order at the breakout level. Isn't it remarkable how consistently over and over and over it's the same damn thing? So I'm seeing a lot of confluence here, folks. Remember, this was, I guess, yeah, wow. That's interesting. So this was last summer through the Bitcoin space. And notice, look at this, folks. I think this is pretty telling. So notice Ethereum tops out in April. And now there's that guy's birthday. Oh, fuck, we better stay the hell away from the market. That goddamn Chris guy always is ruining our parties. No, it's not Chris. It's Liz. I get the distinct impression that Liz and Jimmy have given up. I told you guys. I did see a message from Adam. He goes, "I'll still be here next February, Brian. I promise. I'll still be here," which I thought was awesome. But hopefully, Jim and Liz haven't given up. Jimmy and Liz. God, they were the ultimate expression of the public coming into the market, and I just said, "Look at." Go slowly. Don't, you are in learning mode. And I want to see that you are still here next February, because it's this kind of shit that's just going to just destroy the noobs. And I even put like tweets out saying, this is just about the time where the public starts to give up. And the irony of it all is the public will actually be selling their assets into the 1%'s hands. Because the 1%, they're going to be in there buying good levels. So, as I sort of said here, shorts are working on Ethereum, so I don't think there's any reason to touch that. I had just an absolutely incredible, I had like 2 or 3 attempts to be short Bitcoin, and I got stopped out at scratch repeatedly, drive me crazy, but yeah, that's a trader's life. Get used to it. But this is not how the whole crypto market looks. And the irony of it all is that usually they say in the markets that the big boys always drop last. So, while things like Ethereum and Bitcoin are just now breaking, a lot of this altcoin space, it broke months ago. And it was just a question of, like if you look at this image, everybody should look at this and clearly see where the reload zone is. And you can even see on the screen here, I have value trade. You might find that the German government is joined by the French government, is joined by the Swiss government, is joined by the American government. You don't know. Don't get into the business of predicting the future. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Maybe Satoshi himself comes out of the woodwork and says, I think Bitcoin's yesterday's story, and this is my new project. I'm selling all my Bitcoins. Holy fuck. Market will just collapse. I mean, you don't know, but you have to respect the fact that there's a big fat M staring you in the face there. So I certainly wouldn't be buying this. But that doesn't mean the entire crypto space looks like that. So somebody said there, Brian, I sure hope you tell us what names you bought. So clearly you don't follow my Twitter feed, because I actually even posted this the other day, right? PM, I guess you don't follow this, eh? CR Investor. So I don't know whether I should talk about what I bought here recently. Actually, I think we put it in the newsletter. So what the hell, we'll give you a nice little treat. Here's one that I bought recently. And what I love about this, and if anything, this is maybe the one good thing that's happened here through all of this, is I've been working with this one gentleman for like 10 years. And begrudgingly over the years, I think he's decided that some of the concepts that I do teach people have merit. And of course, you all know Brian's favorite fib, 78.6. It turns out his favorite fib now he likes is 88.6. So we'll call this the JFF from now on. I'm perfectly fine with that. Point here is now we've got him thinking about buying against lows and maybe selling into highs. I don't know whether we got him to that stage yet or not, but we'll see. But this, I think, is a really good example of a name that I would be very interested in buying. And keep in mind, this thing actually topped out last November. So you could actually make the argument that this thing has actually been in a bear market for over 6 months. Really, what, about 7, almost 8 months, this thing's been in a bear market. It's done nothing. The thing here, though, is that as a good technician, I mean, hopefully everybody can see this big fat W down in here. I mean, I could show you a big fat bottom. I think it's probably easier to use this, or I could stand up and I could take my pants down. That's a pretty big fat bottom. I don't want to scare you all though, so we'll refrain from that. And then I suppose that would be hilarious if just one day a guy got up on YouTube and bent over right on a live stream. Which YouTube would have a conniption fit if they saw that. Anyway, hopefully you can all see this big fat W. So I don't have, and actually anybody that I talk to in this space, whenever I talk about this name, they all think fundamentally this is a great story, but this is why you cannot chase. If anything, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, I think you said you got some off on this rally, right? I don't know. I can't remember.
No, the story that I have for this particular name is a little bit more complex, but I was in there early 2023. I got back on that pullback, I want to say in March, around like 30 something cents, a little bit earlier, and then I got my double
Okay.
off later on in the summer. So I'm not in this name, but I did get a double off of this name. So good name, good name.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that I talk to, they like the fundamentals of this. And I had a little bit of, I think it was a little bit of Ethereum lying on the sidelines. And so I put that to work. This is sort of like Liam's crypto. You've heard me talk about my son. Um, and honestly, and I hope this is on record, all 50 of you and everybody else, I love it when you guys give me karmic best wishes for helping my son. And of course, every Thursday and Sunday, I take him out for a 4-hour adventure out on the world, try and, inject a little bit of happiness into his life. But I've been buying up a lot of, well, not a lot, but names like this. I've been buying up with his Bitcoins, his Ethereums, because I think there's money to be made on something like this going forward. And as you can see, like literally, I already have the sell half on a double working. In fact, I even asked Chris, can you make sure that that order is working? Now, in this particular case, that will be almost a triple. But this is ironically enough the exact same logic as to why I think that Bitcoin has to go down to its 50% level. It's just doing the exact opposite. And if anything, this is what I'm trying to teach all of you. If you want to try and buy down markets, and if you want to use WD GAN as technical objectives to the upside, I mean, this might take a year. I mean, look how long this took. If we said, okay, well, there was your top, and then how long did it actually take till it started Wing out and working its way up, and you actually banged out doubles? You can see that was in July, June. Can you see? Here's another example where June is just merciless to these altcoins. Who was it that said, Brian, you picked the bottom there for July 4th? Where is that? I remember somebody up at the top of the video said that. Anyway, I appreciate the kudos. I don't know where that went though. Oh, there it is. That was Mr. PM too. Mr. PM, you're active today. But here's a good lesson. Now, we hit the July window. Was that the bottom? No. Turns out this bottom didn't come in until almost the end of the year. And then we had a dead cat bounce coming into the beginning of the following year, then a test of the lows. And then we had our big honkin' rally. So could we do something along these lines? It's definitely possible. There's no doubt about it. I never put a stopwatch on these trades. And if anything, this is probably a good example. Brian's usually right, and if you had stepped in here at the end of June and just bought, you would have been like, oh, look how smart that Brian is. Oh, look how stupid he is. Oh, look how smart he is. Oh, look how stupid he is. Oh, okay, he's getting back to okay. Oh, now he's just a dumb fuck. Okay, no, now he's looking smart again. Oh, now he's back to the dumb fuck status. Oh, okay, he's getting smart. Dumb fuck. Oh, smart, dumb fuck. Back and forth. And then all of a sudden, woohoo! And then here come the banging out doubles tweets. And then Brian's in there on the sell side taking profits. So really good example where this thing, and I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Do you see any? There was a cute little W that tried to come in here and they just bitch slapped that thing hard here. So we're now down in what I would consider acceptable trade locations. Beautiful. In fact, I really wouldn't have a problem if we nanny nibbled off of this 78.6. When I saw this the other day, I was just like, oh yeah, I think I remember I asked Chris to work a bit at that Julian favorite fib level. And he's like, yeah, you got your fill. Merry Christmas. So fucking A, man. I love that trade. That trade is just beautiful. And this is basically my bread and butter. So do we actually have any W's here yet? No. Do we have actually any signs of confirmed momentum divergence? No. Do we have trade location? Yes, in spades. So as a result, my attitude right now is I'm more than happy to go in and nanny nibble, little old lady. I think actually my crypto portfolio, like Liam's coins, probably, I don't know, a few hundred G's. And I think I threw like $500 at this thing or something. I'm more than happy just to sit there. And if that 10x is great, you can see I'll sell half of it when it gets up into this area. And then maybe we reload again. We'll see how we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Or I just ride those free coins to wherever the hell the top of this thing is. I hear a lot of people talking positively about this. That to me is an absolute textbook little old lady nanny nibble, buying against the bottom end of the range, buying when they're crying, seasonal troughing window, that end of June, beginning of July. Let's see where the hell the wind blows us. So there you go. Whoever asked me to review, that's one of the names. I'll leave the other one for sight people. Hint, hint, hint. It was fucking. So if you know who that is, then you know what I bought. All right, so that gives you a summary of what I'm seeing for the Bitcoin market. Gives you a summary of what I'm seeing for things like Ethereum. And also too, gave you a little hint. And by the way, like I said, if you want to, I actually put these tweets out about what it is that I'm buying every once in a while. Obviously on the site, we do a lot more detail of this. But and also an interesting sort of tell of this current market state is now you're going to start seeing this. And it's kind of humorous, but at the same time too, if you're an idiot, you're this guy. If you don't know what you're doing in the market, you're this guy. If you're relatively new to this game, you're this guy. And you're going to get your ass handed to you. Keep in mind, venture capital space is the most ruthless part of the capitalist game. No doubt about it. And what's even worse about these guys is they'll do stuff like this at the bottom of the market. No, you should have listened, and you're so stupid. Unfortunately for a lot of people, and half the reason why I did this website, right? Jojo came to me after she passed and she said, Brian, you have the opportunity to make a positive difference in this world, and it's to offset this shit. Because this is the public. This is everything about the public. This is everything about human emotion. It's everything about human greed. It's everything about arrogance. It's everything about I'm so smart, look at me. And it's evil. I mean, it is just outright evil. And it's my job, I believe, and please, Spirit, correct me if I'm wrong. And I've told all of you, I am ready to check out of this stupid game. I've had enough of this human species existence. The only reason why I'm still here is I got to somehow figure out some way to get Liam the hell out of the institutional care that he's in, I suppose. That's what I wanted to ask all of you, right? Was, give us best wishes on my adventure this afternoon out on the roads of BC. Now, sadly, my country is overrun by these people. And man, the chaos that they are ensuing in my country, keep in mind, Canada used to be perceived as, oh, those Canadians, they're so polite. They're so nice. They're so respectful. They're genuine, like good people. They're out to make a positive difference in the world. Now my country is overrun by these people. And oh God, just driving on the roads, it's like, what country is this? Yeah, God, it's incredible how quickly the time goes, eh? All right. Anyway, it's probably best that I quit with that rant. All right. We had a bit of a problem with the Google documents here today, and I sure hope we can get it resolved, or else we're in trouble. So Chris actually made a copy. Thank heavens for Chris. And he was able to at least get that question. So let's pop on over there. And thank you very much for the assistance today, sir. Chris actually was able to put together a bit of a newsletter here for us. Like I said, I don't know whether I want to read the AI thing, but anyway, there is the BNT. So if you want, Mr. Whoever it was that asked, I've included the BNT chart in the newsletter this week. So just sign up for the newsletter, right? You can just, in fact, I guess we could probably just, maybe Chris, can you include the newsletter link that you've created here in the video today? All right, I'll just put it there in the room, and can just sign up and you can get this newsletter in your email. And then that way you can get this and you can look at this BNT chart at your heart's content. As well, too, there's the Bitcoin analysis, what sort of happened econ wise over the past week. Keep in mind, it was a bit of a holiday. I never even really talked too much about the econs. There were some good econs, some not so good. A very mixed message in the market right now. I think also, too, the one sort of good econ, the employment report that came out, unfortunately, I think the numbers were slightly finessed. Keep in mind, Mr. Biden's a career politician, and he understands how to finesse these government reports to his advantage. Although, speaking of trouble, I think he's in a lot of trouble now. So I don't think and the tweet that I put out today is if Donald Trump does not win this upcoming election, then I think explicitly how crooked the system is and how corrupt it really is. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge in November, I suppose. So heading on over to the Q&A document, and my apologies to anybody who was trying to post questions in the Q&A document this week. Google really pulled a fast one on us here. So there was one, it looks like it's two questions. So here we go. Hi, Brian. Two separate quick questions. First question, what is TRI's top 3 holdings and most bullish on? I know you got the crypto FA portfolio, but which 3 names are you the most bullish on and have the biggest stake in? Second question, what are 3 names Sjord's most bullish on? Would that be Render, Rune, and something? Many thanks and keep up the good work you do. Well, is this specifically for crypto? I know you haven't really named specific assets. I know you say here, I know you got the crypto FA portfolio. Problem is I don't think you guys are going to like my answer. You know what I'm really bullish on right now? And ironically enough, it's totally not related to crypto whatsoever. I am really, really bullish on a mutual fund. Go figure, of all things. Pine Tree Capital. Oh, look at it, just cranking higher here. Fuck me. I just made another new high. So this is actually what I'm uber bullish on. You tell me, has that got any room to move up here? Like, you can't even see the price action. When altcoins look like this, and a lot of times we pull up altcoins and they look like this. And you're kind of like, where's the price? Can't even see it. This was actually through the commodities bull market, and you can see what these damn venture cap funds did through that. This was the great financial crisis, and since the great financial crisis, I might actually argue that capitalism itself has actually been put on hold. And we live in this really weird quasi-socialist society right now. And they're jamming through the great reset, right? We're all getting fucked over. So it is interesting how, don't feel like you're alone. There are a lot of people that are capitalists that, the guy that came into power in my country came into power right here. And literally, you can see, how do you think the capitalists have been feeling for the past, what is this? This is 9 years. This is it's a mutual fund, which means that they don't take too much risk on any one portfolio or position. And it will only move up if the actual assets that they buy are actually starting to go up. And of course, what are we supposed to think if we see weekly W's? And in this case, we can actually zoom out to a monthly W. Yeah, that's a monthly price chart. Has this thing got any room to move up here? I mean, you know how much the Beamish loves his W's. And I put out a recommendation on this thing at $6. I even said, even in the Twitter feed, I said, these guys reported net asset value of the fund of $6. And keep in mind, usually these mutual funds trade at a premium to net asset value. So if the net asset value of the fund is $6, this thing should be like $6.50, $7, just because that's the way mutual funds act. So I don't know. Is there any money to be made there? So you're asking me what I'm most bullish on in the market? That, but how boring is that? Does that have anything to do with crypto? Not really. So there's also, and I love this because this is an old investment model that was taught to me a million years ago. This is a mutual fund, right? So I like mutual funds. You could think of exchange traded funds. They're basically closed end and they list on the exchange. No big deal. This is an actively managed mutual fund. So they would call it like an open-ended fund. Actually, I think it's closed end, but it trades on the stock exchange. But anyway, the point being that I was taught an old model by VSE floor brokers a million years ago. If you're interested in investing in venture capital, what do you want to look for? And I want to look for things like stocks recently rolled back. So this one here, you can see they rolled the stock back, I think like 10 for one. Yeah, right here. So all these old shareholders got wiped out. Then you can start to see, interesting, we're not quite ready to bottom yet. And unfortunately with these, when I start publicly touting, I'm sure the guys who are running this stock are like, fuck, there's some public guy coming in here touting the stock. All right, knock it down. And we'll just wait for him to acquiesce and leave. But you can see options to directors. So all the directors are incentivized from this line here. I don't know. You tell me if this stock ever gets its act together. Is there any kind of remote possibility that maybe this stock actually trades above this dotted line here going forward? I talked to you about WD Gannon 50% rules. So there's the 50% rule. So also too, this one was an interesting one in that there was a guy who was the founder of a really big gold company, very popular gold company a while ago, and he took a fairly sizable position in this thing on the market bottom. They're in the gold, silver, probably more like silver, copper kind of market. And actually, that's one part of the market that I really like is high grade copper. And you hopefully you can see the big wide W's. What's interesting about this guy is that when was the last time this thing actually took off like a rocket? It was right here. I don't know whether you can see that. And what happened in November 2016? Something happened in November 2016. So this is what they call the professor of economics. So ironically enough, if you actually look at this image and the fact that they did just break copper prices out to new highs here, that's actually extremely bullish. I was showing you chaos theory there earlier. I would actually argue that we probably have a date with this $5.46 a pound for copper. You can see new W's coming in here. So any kind of names that are involved in this space, I'm more than happy to be long. And I wouldn't be surprised if we work our way up into here. And as I said, that also too, good old silver and the Wall Street silver gang, they seem to be getting a little bit more enthused on the upside for their market. We did have to go through that seasonal trough. Usually, May, June's kind of tough on silver and copper and those kind of names as we go through a seasonal trough. But you can see A, B, C, D. You can see where bot objectives are. So I like the idea of copper and silver. And also, too, this will really shock you. If we actually, this is just this is assuming that the value of money is equal. There's 1980. But we all know that the powers that be have gone and diluted the shit out of the currency. So in reality, what does this market actually look like? In reality, this is the shocking part. Whoops. Let's go. Boom. Ready? Can we even see the top of the market here? Is there any room for silver prices to move up? This is just the highs from 2011. So what price does silver have to go to just to get back to the levels that it was at 2011? And then heaven forbid, we actually go into a situation where, you get some clown in the marketplace that says, I'm going to corner the silver market. And it happens. Interesting, 2.669s are up into this area, 4.669s are right up into here. But, there were a couple brothers back in the early 1980s who tried to corner the silver market. And I wouldn't be surprised. That isn't what I think it is it? Whoa, hello. So who can tell me down the road, it doesn't have to happen today or tomorrow, but what are the odds that that level gets traded to? I'll even make it nice and simple for you. Gap. How about that level? How about that level? Ay, ay, ay. Where does silver prices have to go to get back and fill in these price gaps? Thank you, Constantine. So, there are a lot of people that are like, oh, that'll never happen, man. I mean, never say never in this stupid game. So, as an example, the cocoa market, I think that's cocoa. And what time is that? Am I running out of time here? Oh, still got some time. Cocoa, there we are. So what I was telling these Wall Street silver people this recently, and I don't think anybody listened to me. When you go and listen to the comments on there, most of the people actually just sit and make fun of me, which is kind of a shame, but oh well. So there's the cocoa market. Wow. That was like $2 and they worked it all the way up to 11. So that was like a 5-fold increase in cocoa prices, just like out of nowhere. Kaboom! And let's take a look at cocoa prices relative to that money supply. Because remember, this is what's driving all of this. It has almost nothing to do with the actual commodities themselves. And that's the thing that really depresses you the most about this. They're going to blame like the wheat market cranking up. Remember how wheat prices went nuts there? And then they blame that. Oh, it's all because of the war in Ukraine. No, it isn't. It's all because you've diluted the fuck out of your country's currency, and people are just slowly waking up to the fact of what is the new reality of price. And the worst part about this, and this is what makes me laugh about all of this, is that they actually played their hands through that stupid idiot Klaus doofus, the great resets and all that bullshit. So remember, he's been touting about that since he wrote his first book like 10 years ago. So you cannot make the argument that we weren't all warned that this was going to happen. And ironically enough, I actually think a lot of the bankster crooks, they're probably pretty pissed off that Klaus actually even said that publicly. And they were like, God, don't play our fucking hand, you stupid idiot. We got to blame all of this on various different things. And I actually would make the argument that half the reason why this whole inflation shit is happening now is because they wanted to make sure there was enough distance between when they really did this shit, which, by the way, was in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. So now that's like 16 years ago. They wanted to make sure there was enough distance between when they officially fucked us to when we were actually going to see it and we were going to start feeling the blood coming out of our assholes. And now you are seeing, you want to see what blood coming out of your asshole looks like? And there you go. That's going to get some clicks and some Google likes and algorithms all pissed off. But, I showed you this earlier. I don't see why anybody would think otherwise. That's blood coming out of your asshole right there. If you had shown this headline to somebody 20 years ago and said, well, your grocery bill on a weekly basis is going to be about $400. 20 years ago, they would have said, you're fucking crazy. That will never happen to my country. We're America. I got my gun. There's no way they're going to do this to us. Well, they have officially raped us, and there's not a damn thing we can do about it. There you go. Boom. Sure, I made a lot of friends with that statement. I will say, though, anybody watching this afterward, the whole reason why I'm doing this is to help you. If you want to break the model, get your butt into TRI and learn how to do this. And actually, Grim even made a request. He's a little bit disappointed. And I'll tell you, Grim is a fantastic instructor. He's incredibly patient. And, he's much more patient than I am. But he even said this. I'll read this to you. In the chat room this morning. He's like, Brian, can you please make a plea to this community? In fact, I think he even did it in the public lounge. He even wrote this, right? He's just said, here, we just finished the OBV module. So that's good. Hopefully all of you understand OBV divergences now and how important they are. Do me a favor and see if you can convince the students it's in their best interest to book their free one-on-one tutorial, 30-minute with him. I mean, why aren't you all doing this? This is, you've paid us money for this course and you're not taking advantage of the opportunity just to review what your plan looks like, where you want to go, what might be a good place for you to start. No, nobody is doing this. Like, I don't get it, people. And more importantly, start actively putting trades into the shared class logs so they can get practice and ask questions about the potential trades that they're putting on. And keep in mind, all of you should be paper trading now. So please, 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 you paid us good money. We want you to break this model. If you don't learn how to make money from trading and you are stuck in your 9 to 5 and you're doing things like you're listening to the damn Gucci sweater wearers or that Da Vinci guy, and this time it's different and all that, then there's no point in me even doing this. It's incredibly frustrating. Like, people are paying us money. Take advantage of these resources, please. And and when you start here, Brian, you start hearing the octaves go up, then I'm getting even more and more stressed. Please, take advantage of us. That's what we're here for. That's the whole reason why we're doing this. We're trying to make a positive difference in your people's lives. Okay. Well, I don't know. So I gave you 2 names. I gave you a mutual fund. I gave you a VCIM name that's in the silver and copper space. They're more of like an area play specifically on the mining industry here in BC. And of course, my hunch is once we get rid of this idiot that's in control of my country right now, and we somehow change this horrific policy, that direction that we went down that has completely destroyed our country, and Canada gets back to its roots and what it really is. The irony of it all is that Canada is an extremely wealthy nation. And ironically enough, with all of these rises in commodities prices, and keep in mind, I think we're just getting going. I showed you this cocoa chart. You can see what in real dollar terms, we haven't even gotten back to the old structural fail levels here. I wouldn't be surprised if cocoa has to run its way up there. But the point here is that, and if anything, it makes sense why the Canadian mining sector is doing so badly is because the silver prices are, as just one proxy, they're still stuck down at the bottom here. But I don't know. Have you ever heard that Beamish guy talking about W's? And you could argue that, trying to force Bitcoin to be in a bull market, right? Like right here, are you trying to push a chain? Has anybody ever heard that expression there over on YouTube? Write this down if you haven't. How easy is it to push a chain? It's extremely difficult. What I want to do is I want to find those markets, and like I showed you, that are putting in W's. Actually, is this labeled a stock? Oh, I would have thought it would have been labeled a fund, but they call it a stock. Actually, be interesting to. This is actually this will freak you out. Like I don't think this is relevant because it's a stock and they can fuck around with the shares out. But I wonder what this number. Yeah, look at this. If we actually put it in real dollar terms. Now, keep in mind this is a bit. I wouldn't use this as sort of like 50% rules, but just imagine how far this thing has to go now that it's gone and W'd out. I mean, hell, let's call a spade a spade. If we're going to do Foggin bombs, 2.618 is basically a revisit of these, just these highs here, right? Where remember I said this is where that stupid idiot took over my country and basically is driven it into the ground. And if anything, the fact that this thing is Wing out tells you that the winds of change are starting to blow. So, all right. So I gave you a mutual fund. I gave you a little penny stock that was rolled back. And, you want to go 3 for 3. I do not have a problem. I've had lots of people say that they really, I got a runny nose. Sorry, guys. A lot of people say that they really like the fundamentals, including my cohort here, Chris, on this BNT. So you want to make it a 3 for 3. I don't have a problem with you coming in and accumulating that. Are these like my 3 absolute top? Oh, I love these the best. Man, they're not bad. 1 penny stock, 1 mutual fund, 1 cryptocurrency. So Merry Christmas. There you go. And do I have a buy signal on this here? No, I don't. If anything, this is the same sort of thing. This is like, that PNP. You might just find that PNP has to come all the way right back down against the bottom end of the range. That could very easily happen. This thing might have to come all the way back down, swim against these lows. That could very easily happen. Having said that, you're asking me to put my neck in the news, 3 names. Let's come back a year from now and let's see how all 3 of them did. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Okay, I can't comment on Steward's favorite picks. What I will just simply say is we have his FA portfolio. I don't have a problem acquiring any of these names. And I think I have told you recently, I absolutely love and I would like to buy some of this for Liam's portfolio. I think this hello is a no-brainer. 50% rules. I don't know where the exact bottom on this is. It's somewhere around here, but you can see even if we go and clean out these lows, where is 50% rules? That's still in this case 10 cents, right? And that's assuming that we have to go down to like 1.3. So I think there's a lot of money to be made on this. And if you want to time this purchase, then really now that we actually are on the other side of the downtrend line, you just want to see a W. So this would be like the BNT. Be more than happy to go in and buy that, but there is no buy signal there. And this might take a year to turn. It doesn't have to turn tomorrow. My hunch for whatever it's worth. I wouldn't even be surprised if we were doing something like carving out maybe like a head and shoulders. So through the summer here, probably rally back into that resistance line. Then through the fall, heading into the election, there's a bit of a pullback. And then the new bull market starts. Maybe sometime middle of fall, and I don't know whether you heard me say this earlier, but with regard to copper, the whole, the market just went crazy the day of the election there a few years ago, and Trump won 2016. My hunch is that I think that if Mr. Trump does win, The whole market, the whole stock market, the whole venture cap market, crypto market, I think the whole bloody market just goes fucking crazy apeshit bullish. Because we'll finally have put these goddamn socialist cocksucking, WEF, communist society, two-tiered society, K-shaped economy, all that bullshit behind us. So fingers crossed. Can we please have the capitalists and the entrepreneurs actually come back into power and get us back on a good footing? I'm not going to comment on Mr. Trump himself. We've got the same situation going on in my country. Gentleman's name here is Mr. Polyev. And everybody's rooting that, fuck, can we please get him back and get that stupid idiot fool that's running our country now, get him the hell out of there and get at people that actually know what the hell they're doing, running our country again. Because I tell you, these woke idiots, none of them know what they're doing. They have no experience whatsoever, and none of them should have ever been elevated to these positions of authority to begin with. Anyway, that's more about that bleeding out of certain orifices of your body talk. All right. Well, what do you think? Give me some feedback here. Did you enjoy the rants, all 47 of you? Did anybody hit the like button of today's video? Anybody? Oh, look at that. We got a few likes. That's not bad. Let's see if everybody can leave a comment on the video here, if you could, please. Hey, Cheryl, there's Cheryl. She's back. Sorry, Cheryl. I'm sure you had to put your arms over your kids here, talking about bleeding out of orifices. Ring the bell, notifications. Hey, there's Paul. Is that our Romanian buddy? Say hi to all the Romanians for me. I hope your advisory service and all that's going well for you. But if you could do me a favor, put a comment. What did you find most colorful out of Brian's rants here today? I'd appreciate it. It's always nice reading your guys' comments. So slow and steady wins the race. As you see on the screen here, if we are here right now, I don't think we actually go back into rip roaring. We're all going to get rich bull. That doesn't happen now for probably a good 3 or 4 months at best. This is going to take some time to clean up. We talked about the Bitcoin story. We've done some major technical damage here. If anything, fingers crossed, we have a bit of a summer silly season, and really all they do is they just bang it around into this eclipse. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, of course, is we have to come all the way back down into reload zones before we actually bottom in earnest. I'm not going to get into the business of predicting the future. I won't do it. All I'll just simply say is, trade your setups, hunt your setups. You see, I've been walking everybody through this setup. I had a couple really nice setups working on the corn. They were able to stop me out at scratch, so I didn't lose any money on those. This one turned out to be rather profitable, and it still has half of the position on. I'm not really in a big hurry here to take the position off. And I don't think any of you should be in a big hurry to force the market to bottom. And if anything, maybe if we're lucky, we can get some sort of consolidation over the next month or so that looks something like this, right? That's ideally what we'd like to see happen here. Give us a bit of back and forth to set up some nice little summer rally here. Yeah, I think I've talked this into the ground for today. All right, so I answered those questions. I won't comment on Sjord's picks. What I would just simply say is tune in on Tuesday. Sjord's going to be away on vacation the next week or two. Then following that, I'm going to be on vacation for a week or so. It's going to be a bit splotchy, but I'm going to I don't want to speak for Sjord. So I'm just going to simply say next time Sjord's on a Tuesday call, we'll pose the question to him and just make sure to be tuned in. If you're writing questions on that document, then that means that you're a site member. And if you happen to see Sjord in the lounge, there's no reason why you can't reach out to him and just ask him. And he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in the world. And so there's no reason why he would bullshit you. So, All right, so let's finish it at that. That is 1 o'clock, so probably a good time for us to call it a day. My apologies with regard to newsletters and me and my frazzled start there. I hope you all enjoyed the offering. Let me know in the comments what you found was your favorite off-colored remark today. Hopefully I didn't insult too many people. I suppose banksters don't like me very much. Oh, I already told you. I'm not going to show you again. It's gone. Go back and watch the video again, Rocky. All right. And again, honestly, I don't really see a hell of a lot bullish in the market until we get through this election. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole market just kind of bumps along sideways here for the next few months. So, all right. Slow and steady wins the race. Merry Christmas. PMA for the win. All the best. Remember what your number one job is. Don't take no win nickels. Wish Liam and I luck on the roads today. Oh, God. I'm almost afraid to go out on that road now. And let's all say a prayer for world peace. All right. Have yourselves a great day, and bye for now.